All right, we are in a brand new series today called the Holiday Survival Guide. And if you came with any sort of expectation today, Ruben was doing the morning prep rally. We get together before the first service and we go over what the day is going to look like for our volunteer teams. We pray together and stuff. And Ruben is standing there and he says, you know, anybody got that one crazy relative and they go crazy and blah, blah, blah. We're going to talk about if you're the crazy relative. All right, that's kind of what this series is. And if you came to get tools to point the finger at somebody else, sorry, that's not where we're going to go with this one today. But if you want to survive the holidays, then I have a perfect message for you today, all right? I believe that this series is going to help you to not lose yourself during the holidays. Lose myself. That doesn't make any sense. How would I lose myself in the holidays? Statistics show there are more suicides between Thanksgiving and Christmas than the other 11 months of the year combined. Did you know that? Did you know that we will consume more calories per day over the daily allowed limit in this month than any other time in the year? Christmas cookies. Sweet potato pie. We will acquire more debt in this month than at any other point in the year. We will spend money we don't have on things we don't need to impress people we don't like. Can I say it again? We will spend money we don't have on things we don't need to impress people we don't even like, right? We want to keep up with the Joneses, but we hate the Joneses. We even hate their dog too, right? But yet we do this sort of thing in the holiday season. And here's the reality, right? The holidays is the most wonderful time of the year. But instead, it ends up being lots of fights and awkward conversations. Start talking about politics at the Christmas dinner table. Forget it. Aunt Sally, she starts talking about politics. It's gonna get crazy. And I try to avoid the religion talk at any holiday gathering that I go to, because there's always some side where someone's trying to catch me out there with a religious talk, right? In the holiday season, how do we survive the holiday season? So as a church, we've decided, well, actually, I have decided for you that before it's too late and we lose ourselves in the holidays, that we would take a moment and really evaluate what we're doing. That's what I'm saying today. I want to evaluate what we're doing. Here's my prayer. My prayer is that we can acquire some tools so that when January comes, listen to me, ready? We're going to acquire some tools so that when January comes, we are not having to make New Year's resolutions that we're not going to keep because of the bad decisions we made in December. So my prayer is that we can get some tools so that we're not having to make New Year's resolutions because of the bad decisions that we made in December. How many times does that happen? I'm going to have to lose some weight. January 1st, I'm going to lose weight because we put on 25 pounds in December because Brian could just not say no to Christmas cookies. This Brian, Christmas cookies. Hey, I'm going to lose weight. Well, let's not put the weight on. Right? I'm gonna work on my temper. Let's not lose the temper in December. Say no to the sweet potato pie with the 3 scoops of vanilla ice cream. Could we do a sliver of sweet potato pie with the marshmallows on top and like a half a scoop of vanilla ice cream? Could we just cut back? I mean, could we just portion control? Anyway, you get what I'm saying. And can I just sit on my soapbox for one moment? Like, I have a problem with Christmas cookies. I do. What makes a Christmas cookie a Christmas cookie? Like, why is a dainty log a Christmas cookie? Anybody know what a dainty log is? It's a chocolate chip cookie dipped each end in chocolate and then in pecans. Like, what makes that Christmas? Right? What makes a chocolate chip cookie Christmas cookies? Like, you know what it is that We're lazy the whole rest of the year, but we will indulge for 1 month. For 1 month, we'll go out of our way to spend money we don't have on things that we don't need, to impress people that we don't like. For some reason, we have to give all of our neighbors Christmas gifts, and yet we avoid them the whole rest of the year. Right? I'm just throwing some things out there. In my life, I've lived a roller coaster at the end of the year. I've done this. From Thanksgiving to the end of the year, it's no holds barred. Whatever I want, how much I want to eat, all the sweets I want, don't go to the gym, all those things. And then the new year comes along and your head is foggy, you're cloudy, you wonder why you feel so sick and so crazy and so lethargic. And they're going to make the New Year's resolutions that we break February 1st. Right? I'm praying. We pray, God, how can I just at least get back to where I was? Anybody ever had that prayer? Let's talk spiritually. Lord, I was so on fire for God and church at one time. How can I at least get back to where I was? Or you're 5 sizes bigger now than you were last year, and can I just get back into my smaller jeans? Our prayer is that we don't want us to get back, but we want to maintain a consistent, healthy life, spirit, soul, and body. All right? So I learned something this year. Isn't that amazing? Have you ever bought your kids a gift, and by the end of the day of Christmas, it's already broken? Have you ever bought your kids a gift that you know they just had to have? Like, you went into debt for this thing, and then come spring in the family yard sale, that thing is sitting out on the curb as part of the yard sale. I mean, they just had to have it. You went out of your way to get it, and now they don't even want it anymore. Here's what I learned this year. And I didn't come from osmosis. Like, this came from some situations where we had to have some really intense talks as a family. And here's what I learned. My kids didn't want so much the stuff as much as they wanted me to play with stuff with them. Do I need to say that again? I know that we think the kids want the stuff because they circled it all in the magazine. I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. But if we really boiled it down, what they really want is you to play with those things with them. I didn't get that. I was oblivious to the fact. I just thought they wanted the stuff and get on their phones and ignore me the rest of the day. But they really did want me to be there and not just in the house. It's so easy to be in the house but be somewhere else. Be in Facebook space and Twitter world and Instagramville. Completely outside of the home, yet there. Are we present in the moments of our kids' life? Could our presence be the greatest present that our kids are asking for? Relational things, this is what we're talking about throughout the month. Relational things that if we get them right, they will breathe new life into your new year. So over the next few weeks, these are some of the things that we're going to discover. And so let's not just survive the holidays, but let's thrive in the holidays, all right? So I want to look at something as we talk about relationships. And I want to look at this story in the Bible. This is probably the most unfair story in the entire Bible. Can I say that? This is probably the most unfair story in the whole Bible. And here it goes. Matthew 20 and verse 1. For the kingdom of heaven is like a master of a house who went out early in the morning and hired laborers for his vineyard. After agreeing with the laborers for a denarius a day, a daily wage, daily amount of wages, he sent them into the vineyard to work. Later in the day, about the 3rd hour, he saw others standing idle in the market, and he hired them too. Could you come work for me? And so they did. And so this goes on. throughout the day. Do you follow me so far? So he hires somebody at like 7:30 in the morning, hires somebody again at 10 o'clock, hires somebody at noon, hires somebody at 1, hires somebody at 5. This goes on throughout the day. The vineyard guy's hiring throughout the day. He's saying, I see something in you that I could use on my vineyard. I need the work that you can do. Then it comes time for paycheck, for the paycheck time, right? The paycheck moment. You guys love payday? Do you know that companies actually get less work accomplished on payday than any other day in the week? Because you already know you earned it and just kind of like, just waiting for payday. Anyway. That's why my staff doesn't get paid. So the master comes in, he's got the paychecks ready to go, and he goes to the person he hired last. It says that he hired the last employee at the 11th hour. So the guy did like an hour of work. Guess how much he paid him? A denarius. He gave him a full day's wage. And the guy worked an hour. And he went down the line and gave everybody a denarius. Oh, my Lord. Just like that would not sit well with you, it did not sit well with them. And the guy who got hired at 7:30 in the morning goes, excuse me, sir, we got a problem. I said, what's the problem? That guy worked an hour. And he got the same pay that I got, and I worked all day for this. I worked all day for this. You paid the same amount. We got the same blessing. And I had to work all day, and he got to work 1 hour. That's not fair. Don't you just love the word fair? We love the word fair when we're using it. We hate the word fair when it's being used against us. That's not fair. And so, society tries to make everything fair today. Nobody can actually win a football game because that's not fair. We all played. We should all get participation prizes. They're upset. It's not fair. And we see the same issue in church today. I've been an usher for 27 years. And this guy, he accepts Jesus on his deathbed, and he gets the same heaven? That's not fair. It's not fair. And so we got this problem with fair, right? I had to sacrifice and lay down things that I wanted to do. I had to be good, and this person lived a bad life, and they still get to go to heaven? That's not fair. We're saying to God, God, that's not fair, this system that you instituted. I served, I did my best, and this person gets the same reward. I was an amazing Christian, they were a bad Christian, and we get the same reward. Now watch this. This is what the master says in verse 13. But the master replied to one of them, friend, I am doing you no wrong. Friend, I'm doing you no wrong. I paid you exactly what we agreed upon. Isn't that funny? A lot of times we get upset at work, but you signed your payroll contract. You signed the payroll contract. Did you not agree to work for me for a denarius a day? Take what belongs to you and go. He says, I choose to give to this worker, to this last worker as I gave to you. I chose to be a generous employer. Am I not allowed to do what I choose with what belongs to me? Or do you begrudge my generosity? I got to ask, in church at large, do we begrudge God's generosity of salvation? In truth and reality, do we begrudge it that, I live a good life and this person lives in sin and they can still go to heaven? Do we begrudge God's generosity of grace? Because that's not fair. He says this, so the last will be first and the first will be last. Here's the deal. We do not know how to handle a world that's not fair. Can I say that again? We do not know how to handle a world that's not fair. That's why society has tried to create all these things that are fair. It's fair, fair, fair. It's got to be fair. It's got to be fair for everybody. Listen, so because everything has to be fair, we have chosen in our relationships to fight fair. We fight fair in our relationships. And I'm going to show you the lie of the word fair. Because it's fair that if you yell at me, I get to yell at you. That's fair, right? So that's how we fight. And if you use bad words at me, then I'll use bad words at you because that's fair. That's a fair fight. And you use my past against me, so I'm going to use your past against you because that's fighting fair. You're going to say hurtful things to me. You're going to put me down, and then I'm going to do it to you because that's fair. And so in society, we've learned, in our relationships, we've learned to fight fair. Here's the truth. If we insist on being fair, but in reality, there's nothing fair about Christianity. There's nothing fair about Christianity. What is fair about God sending his only son to die on a cross for you, and the only thing you have to do is believe that he did it and that he exists and that he loves you and you get to go to heaven? What's fair about that? What's fair about while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us? What's fair? There's nothing fair about Christianity. Turn the other cheek. That's not fair. Love your enemies. Not fair. Do good to those who do evil to you. Not fair. Same heaven for all who call upon the name of the Lord. Not fair. Not fair. And I think that many people have kept God at a distance because they feel that they've been a good person, that they've kept up their end of the deal, and at some point God let them down, and that's not fair. I prayed a prayer, I did what was right, and God didn't answer me, and that's not fair. And this is the same thing that these workers are saying to their boss, like, this isn't fair. And we get lost in the idea of fair. And if I have you totally confused, good, that's where I wanted to get you so that I can rebuild this thing. Yeah, isn't things supposed to be fair? If it was fair, we've missed the whole point of the gospel. The whole point of the gospel. For by grace are you saved through faith, and not of yourselves. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man could boast. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus unto good works. It was all about the work of Jesus and not us. That's not fair, but that's the gospel message. The gospel message is there's nothing that we can do in and of ourselves to earn God's love and God's grace, so he gave it to us as a free gift. It's not fair that while we were yet sinners, while we were in the midst of sin, Christ said, I love you and I'll die for you. Not fair, but that's the gospel message. So here's the deal. When it comes to relationships and how God sees relationships, ready? I want the relationship to be right more than I need to be right. You want me to say that again? I want the relationship to be right more than my need to be right. Most of us get into arguments or fights or whatever, so we get our way. I'm right and you're wrong. I need to be right. And it's funny, we were just at breakfast and my wife's sitting there and she goes, oh, I don't always need to be right. I think she had an epiphany of my last service and it almost started a fight right there. What do you mean you don't always need to be right? Yes, you do. No, I don't. You're trying to be right now. Do I want the relationship to be right, or do I need to be right? Does my story have to be right and correct all the time? Isn't that the worst? Wives, can I just give you a little insight about men? We like exaggerating stories. We enjoy exaggerating stories. Just throw us a bone once in a while. And just let us exaggerate the story without correcting us in front of our bros while we're telling the story. Just every once in a while. That's not what happened at all. We know it didn't happen that way. But we got to make the story big and exciting and engaged, because that's what we do. Being right. Listen to what I'm about to say. This is a heavy one. No one in a close communion with God will carry an offended spirit. No one in close communion with God, no one in a close relationship with God will walk around carrying an offended spirit. By the simple fact that someone can walk around carrying an offended spirit shows they're not very spiritual. And if that one ticked you off, gotcha. It's already talking to you. Already offended you. Being offended is part of being human. Staying offended proves that that's all you are. Right? Because once offense comes, can we give that to the Lord? Can we just say, Lord, I don't even know what to do with this right now. Like, that hurt. That hurt. And most offense come from hurt. What am I going to do with this thing now? Am I going to carry this around like that brick that's weighing me down so that I'm going to hurt somebody else? Or can I just let this thing go? Matthew 18:15 says this: if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault. Not that it's his fault, but what the problem was. Between you and him alone. Can we see? But it's so easy to go to somebody who has nothing to do with it and tell them about it. It's so easy to go tell everybody at lunch, at work, everything about that other person instead of going to them. Oh, it's because I don't like confrontation. Are you for real? Like, you're telling all your friends all the garbage. Like, what do you mean you don't like confrontation? You're creating it. You're creating all this drama that doesn't need to be if you just go to the person in love and say, hey, I need to talk to you about something. When you said X, Y, Z, I didn't know how to handle that, and it hurt me. What was your intention behind that? What was your intention? What was your goal? What was your goal? What were you trying to accomplish by yelling at me and saying curse words? Well, you weren't listening. But what was your goal in yelling at and saying, like, where were we going with that? Where was that going to lead? You yelling and using curse words. What was your goal? Well, you weren't listening. What was your goal? Was that to get me to listen? Was there another way to get me to listen than using curse words and screaming at me? See, we don't know how to have these conversations. Because the moment we don't have the answer to the question being asked, we blow up again. And then codependency all kicks in. So I'm not going to ask the question because I don't want them to blow up. And so I'll be dying inside and I'll be hurting just so that the blower upper doesn't blow up. So are you human, or do you also have a spirit? Are you only human, or are you spiritual as well? So here's our pledge this year. I will not fight fair. I will fight right. I will not fight fair. I will fight right. R-I-G-H-T. We're going to look at every single one of those letters in right. They stand for something. The R stands for this. When I'm in an argument or disagreement, I will use respect. I will use respect. Respect it. Oh, man, I don't need to respect you. I married you. In the marriage vows, it says, I will honor and respect from this day forward. I solemnly swear, honor and respect. And it's so funny, like the person that we marry, we think that we get the right to disrespect them because hey, they're locked, they're in now. Where are they gonna go? They leave you. Don't get it twisted. Being a Christian don't mean you stay married anyway. Think about it for a second. Honor and respect. Using foul language is absolutely no respect. We're going to get to that in a minute. And conflict lives in three places. Conflict lives around the problem, internally, and between you and them. Right? Conflict lives in three places, around the problem, internally, and between you and them. Let's just look at the internally for a second. It's like that's where most of the conflict happens, is inside you. I want you to do what I want you to do, and I'm going to say and do whatever I have to get my way. You just weren't spanked enough as a child. Because you got your way as a kid and you think that that's how it's supposed to be for the rest of your life. Right? And so I will do and say whatever I have to do to get my way, and that's not bringing respect. I will fight with integrity. Integrity, man, there's a word that you don't hear much in society today. Integrity. Watch this. Ephesians 4:29 says this. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth. Oh, it's a Bible verse. It's a Bible verse. But only what is helpful for building others, building the relationship. Is the words that are about to come out of my mouth going to build this marriage? Are they going to build this relationship? Or are they going to hurt the thing that I swore to protect? I swore to protect this relationship with everything that was within me. Is what's about to come out of my mouth going to fix and heal this thing or cause more destruction and damage? And I'm sorry if I'm hitting you emotionally today. Maybe you had a fight on your way to church today. This message is me too. This message is me living the roller coaster of holidays and relationships and doing it wrong for years. For letting unwholesome talk come out of my mouth. I took the word unwholesome and broke it into three words, unwholesome. And the word integrity doesn't mean honest. The word integrity means whole. Right? Because you think, well, I have to say what's true. Listen, we're going to get to that in a second. The word integrity comes from the same word that we get integer. So if you have a problem, you need to ask yourself this: am I whole? Is the word that's going to come out of my mouth coming out of a whole person? Or is a broken person using broken words to hurt another broken person? This is where the deal lies. Right here. Is the words that are coming out of my mouth coming out of a whole place, a whole person? Or are broken words coming out of a broken person to hurt another broken person? The Bible tells us to love our neighbor as ourselves, but wonder if we don't love ourselves. Then we create more hurt. Well, I love me some me. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at the depths of some of the insecurities that you carry around that you mask as self-love. When we fight, we need to use respect, we need to use integrity, and we need to use grace. Grace, unearned favor. I'm in an argument with you and you don't deserve me being so nice, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. Grace. 2 Timothy 4:22, the Lord be with you with your spirit. Grace, he says, be with you. As you live, as you breathe, as you move, that let there be a grace within you. And I don't know if I got this point across, but I'm going to try again this service. What would it look like if you assumed that everybody you were talking to was trying as hard as you are? Wonder if you assumed that your spouse was trying as hard as you were to make the marriage better. Because we don't, right? I'm doing all the work and you don't even care about this relationship anymore. Wonder if we assumed that they were trying as hard as we were. That they really did want things, but they just didn't know. They didn't have tools. They just weren't whole. Did you realize that if you went back and asked, like if you allowed 95% of the people who you offended to tell you what you did that offended them, you would have no idea what they were talking about? I'll give you an example. Every now and then I'll get emails, right? Pastor Mike, I'm just so hurt by your actions. You walked right by me in the hallway at church. I said hi to you and you totally ignored me and you said nothing to me. What did I do to offend you? And man, I have to sit back and think to myself, oh my God, were they even in church? I have to look at attendance records to even see if they were in church. And I'm totally sorry, I didn't see you. It's not that I was trying to ignore you. I literally did. I was involved in it. Was I talking to somebody? Yeah, you were talking to somebody, but I said hi. So you took offense, and I didn't even know I offended you. Ever heard that someone got offended by your face? No, you were saying something to me, and you gave me this ugly look. I didn't even know I was giving you a look. It could have been indigestion. Wonder if we gave somebody the benefit of the doubt instead of thinking the negative. Here's something that I like to do in my mind, right? When something happens, when somebody offends me, okay, that hurt me. I write a story. We're all story writers. All right, that person just treated me that way because they just got a devastating call from the doctor. They were diagnosed with a terminal disease. On their way to church, they got a flat tire after they ran over a porcupine. Their blood pressure's through the roof, and they don't know how to deal with all this news. I just write a story, a tragic story. I say, okay, in those circumstances, do I still need to deal with the situation? Do I still need to deal with the offense? If I do, then I will. If I say, in light of all of that, no, then I let it go. In light of the fact that I have no idea what the backstory behind them treating me that way is, I need to let it go. That's extending grace. The H is honesty. Honesty. Ephesians 4:15 says this, rather speaking the truth in love, we are to grow up in every way into him who is the head of who is Christ. Okay? Honesty. Listen to what I'm about to tell you right now. Not everything that's true needs to be said. But everything that's said needs to be true. You are just the biggest jerk. That may be true. That may be absolutely true. But that doesn't need to be said. But whatever I do say needs to be true. We get that? Not everything that's true needs to be said. But everything that's said needs to be true. Do you know what that word's called? We're going to get to in a second, but it's using discretion. Like when your wife says, do I look fat in this dress? That is an absolutely beautiful dress. What I said is true. But not everything's true needs to be said. Well, am I being a liar? No. You're building the relationship over being right. Well, she asked me, but now she's sitting there crying. Now her makeup is running down. Yeah, but she asked me. Congratulations. How's it working for you? Do we want the relationship to be right, or do we need to be right? We want the relationship to be right. I'm just saying that there's some things that we weren't taught to fight right. We were taught to fight fair. And we've been fighting fair our whole lives. You hurt me, I'm going to hurt you. But what's right? What's going to make this relationship right? Sometimes it's just extending grace. T stands for tact. Proverbs 15:1, one of the most misunderstood verses in the Bible. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. I've tried that, Pastor Mike. You know, my relative, they're screaming at me, and I just say something nice back to them, and it won't shut them up. It won't bring them down. They just keep going. This verse isn't about somebody else. This verse is about you. A soft answer turns away the wrath in you. But the moment you come out your mouth with anger, it stirs it all up. That's why once you blow your top, like hours later, you go back, I didn't mean to say those things. Yes, you did. You just didn't mean for me to hear them. You've been thinking it for 5 years. I didn't mean it because you blew your top. And once you blew your top, it stirs up all those impurities, all those things that you had been carrying around that you didn't deal with. You had been storing them up in your pocket for ammunition. If they ever, I swear to God, now I got something on them. In that moment, it stirs up all that anger. Once you blow the top, it stirs up all that anger in you. And it just comes flooding out. And then we're having to play cleanup in January with New Year's resolutions that we're not going to keep. Make a New Year's resolution, have a better marriage. Let's not break it in December. Let's not self-sabotage. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. Let's not gain the 10 pounds. Come on, somebody. Tact. The word tact is discretion, prudency, sensitivity. Ask yourself this: how would I like to be dealt with in this situation? Here's the biggest bombshell of this whole thing. You ready? Like, if we can own this one, we can fix anything. Coming to a situation where you can say this: what you said hurt me, but I'm going to handle your soul with care. What you just did hurt me. The situation hurt me, but I'm going to handle your soul with care. I'm going to ensure that what my response is and what my reaction is and what my obligation to this relationship is handled with care. I'm not saying that you don't care. I'm not saying that at all. But making a decision within us, I'm going to handle your soul with care. I'd say I haven't always been. I can't tell you that I've even got anywhere near a handle on that. I think I'm learning it as we go. And I'm making it one of those things out in front of me where I said, listen, I need to handle people's souls with more care. It's easy for me to be driven and go and make things happen. How can we handle others' souls with care? This holiday season, could you commit to not being fair, but to doing what's right? To doing what's right. What could the relationships in your life look like if we instituted some of these tools? If we worked on it? So husbands, I'm giving you the conversation your wife so desperately has been wanting to have with you. Wives, here's some of the things that your husband would like you to know as well. We want the relationship to work, but we've been caught up in fighting fair. We've been caught up in trying to be right because that's what we've always seen modeled. Generation after generation, year after year. Let's make the relationship right. Father, we thank you today in this holiday season that we could look at some of these relationship things, some things that really they break down throughout the seasons, and it's supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year, God, and we're depressed, we're fighting, we're angry, we're overwhelmed, buying gifts we can't afford, things that we don't need to impress people we don't even like. God, help us to be centered, grounded. Let our Christianity come to the surface this holiday season, and not in any judgy way, but in a decision that we make. I will handle other souls with care. God, could you continue to show us? Could you continue to work on us? Bring to our knowledge the moments that we step out of bounds and we begin to do things that could possibly hurt others. Help us to be responsible for the words that come out of our mouths. Let them bring liberty and life to those who hear them. Father, I thank you as we leave here today that we are blessed coming in, we'll be blessed going out. Everything we set our hands to will prosper and be successful in Jesus' name. Amen. Love you guys.